I always thought freedom must feel like flying, the way a moth circles a lamp without fear of who might crush it. When I was 9 years old, that idea stayed in my head more than anything else, even more than hunger. Hunger was constant. It lived in our bones, crawled inside our stomachs, whispered in our ears every night. But Mom said hunger was holy. It's how God tests his favorites, she used to tell us with her glassy eyes and cracked smile. Gluttony is sin. Hunger is salvation. We lived in an old, collapsing farmhouse outside Briar Creek, Pennsylvania, too far from neighbors for anyone to notice the screams or the silence. It was only me, my older brother Troy, my sister Harper, and her, Mom. Mom wasn't always like that. Before Dad left, she laughed. She cooked pancakes, danced barefoot on the kitchen floor while the radio played old country songs. We used to stay up late with her and make popcorn. She would hug us tightly and tell us we were her world. Then Dad left overnight. No fight, no goodbye, just gone. The morning after, we found Mom sitting in the kitchen chair, unmoving. Something inside her snapped, and it never healed. She started praying loudly for hours, talking about demons, hunger, and how the body was a filthy cage for sin. Then one day she announced, "From today forward we honor God, 1 meal a day, and only what the Lord provides." Lord didn't provide much, and neither did Mom. It was 6:07 p.m. I remember the exact numbers because my stomach twisted like a wet towel being wrung dry. We waited at the table in total silence, afraid to breathe too loudly. A fly buzzed above our heads, drawn to the flickering light bulb. I watched it like it was the most beautiful thing alive. It didn't know starvation. It didn't know rules. It didn't know Mom. Harper whispered without moving her lips. "Don't look at the bug too long. She'll say you're trying to eat it." I blinked away from it just before Mom came marching in, her boots thudding on the wooden floorboards. She carried a steel tray, mashed potatoes, barely enough for 3 fists. My mouth watered so hard it hurt. I reached for a scoop, unable to stop myself, and her voice cracked through my skull like thunder. "Don't touch the food, Abigail!" Her spit hit my cheek. I pulled back fast. Mom slammed the tray onto the table and pointed at me with her trembling finger. "Greed is sin. Hunger is God's love. You are filthy for wanting more than you deserve." Troy swallowed hard. "Mom, Abby's stomach hurts," he said quietly. The whole room froze. Harper's eyes widened. She knew what was coming. Mom slowly turned toward Troy, her face twisting. "What did you say to me, boy?" He didn't back down. That scared me the most. Not Mom's rage, but his courage. She's a kid, she's hungry, we all are. Mom stepped back from the table. The shadows swallowed her face, except her eyes, glowing like rage itself. "You're demons, all of you, and I will cut the hunger out before you drag me down." She grabbed the tray and flipped it, food scattering across the floor. Harper screamed. I sobbed. Troy stood up. Mom shoved her hands into the cutlery drawer, yanking and throwing out forks, spoons, metal clattering like thunder. "Where are the knives? Where are the knives?" She spun around so fast I didn't even notice Troy move, but suddenly he was behind her. He didn't shout. He didn't hesitate. He raised the kitchen knife from behind his back and on and drove it into her spine. Her scream choked off halfway. She dropped. He stabbed her again, and again, until she stopped moving. Silence. Then only the crackling of the light bulb. Troy was breathing like he had run a marathon. He dropped the knife with a loud cling and stared blindly at the floor. "Nobody's starving anymore," he said, voice shaking. "We're free now. We can eat whatever we want." I didn't know if I should cry, run to him, or pray. But then something happened. Something small but terrifying. The fly landed on Mom's cheek. She wasn't moving, but I swear, the corners of her mouth twitched upward into a smile. Mom was buried in the woods behind the cornfield. Troy wrapped her in an old bed sheet. We didn't speak while digging, just shoveled until our backs nearly broke. After that, everything changed. The first week was heaven. We ate cereal until we puked. We heated frozen dinners. We laughed. We slept without fear. But by the second week, something unexplainable crept into the house. The floorboards creaked when no one walked. The lights flickered, the air felt thick and suffocating. Then the hunger came back. Not normal hunger, a gnawing, bruising, agonizing need that drowned every thought. We ate constantly, but it only worsened. Troy stopped eating and sat at the table all day, staring at Mom's empty chair. Harper cried in her sleep. I heard whispering in the walls, a voice that sounded like Mom. Salvation comes to the hungry. Sin comes to the full. One night I opened my eyes, and Harper was sitting on the floor in the dark, eating raw flour from the bag with her hands. Her eyes had the same sunken fire Mom had. 3 days later, Harper collapsed, shaking, foaming at the mouth. She screamed, begging the voice to stop. Troy held her down, crying. She won't stop saying she has to starve. Abby, she wants to starve herself again. I knew what was happening. The hunger lived in us now. Or maybe Mom never left. I did the only thing I thought could help. I took the tray from the cabinet, the same steel tray Mom used. I slammed it onto the table. From now on, we eat once a day. Troy stared at me like I had slapped him. Abby, no, don't start that again. But Harper lifted her head slowly, and she smiled. Yes, once a day. It keeps the demons weak. My chest felt warm. My skin prickled. For the first time, I wasn't afraid. I sat down in Mom's chair. The voice in my head purred, "Good girl." I looked at my siblings, trembling, starving, waiting. "Bow your heads," I said. "You will eat when I say. You will starve when I say. Hunger keeps you pure." Harper began crying, not in fear, but in joy. Troy whispered, "Abby, please don't do this." I smiled. It's God's love. The light flickered above us, just like before. And for the first time in my life, I felt exactly like that fly circling the lamp. I never believed a mother could love her child and hate him at the same time, until I grew up inside her house. My name is Jalen Pierce, and I grew up in a small town called Ravenshade, Kentucky. The kind of place where everyone waves at everyone, but nobody really knows anyone. People only see what they want to see. And my mother made sure they never saw the truth. To everyone in town, she was Sweet Laura Pierce, the smiling nurse at St. Roch's Clinic, the woman who baked cookies for church events, the woman who comforted crying children in waiting rooms. People adored her. But inside the house at 317 Maple Lane, she was something else. Something I can't fully name. Because there isn't a word for the thing she became. My father, Rick, was the only shield between me and her. He was loud, messy, fun, and everything she hated. Where she controlled, he loosened. Where she threatened, he protected. When I was 8, she poisoned him slowly. Not enough to kill right away, just enough to convince the town he was dying of stress. She cried at his funeral more than anyone else, mascara running down her cheeks, hugging every guest like some fragile widow. I remember watching her carefully. There were no tears. Not one. After he died, her attention turned fully toward me. I became the project, the puppet, the property. "Good boys obey their mothers," she said almost every day. And when I didn't, she made sure I paid. I was 17 when everything broke. Mom said I had an anxiety disorder, but I wasn't anxious before she started drugging me. My pills changed every month. Some were blue, some yellow, some smelled like bleach. I asked where they came from. She never answered. "Just take them," she always said. "Mommy knows best." The morning everything changed, I woke up on the bedroom floor. I didn't remember falling asleep. My head felt stuffed with cotton, my body heavy like cement. From downstairs, her voice floated up the staircase. "Jolene, breakfast, take your meds before school." She didn't have to scream. Her sweetness was worse than any yell. I dragged myself to the bathroom and stared in the mirror. I looked like a ghost, pale, sunken eyes, dry lips. The fear inside me felt like a fist gripping my lungs. I whispered to myself, "Come on, just get through the day." I walked downstairs, She was waiting at the table, smiling, a plate of toast and water placed neatly in front of my seat. Next to it, a small plastic cup with 9 pills inside. 9 today? I asked, trying to sound casual. Her smile widened. You're getting older. Your condition is getting worse. My condition? I muttered. You won't even tell me what it is. Her voice snapped like a whip. Because you don't need to know. Then instantly she switched back to smiling. Sweetheart, you know how you get when you don't take them. I did know. Not because anything was wrong with me, but because she punished me until I looked sick enough to justify the next dose. I swallowed my fear and the pills. But this time I didn't let them sink in. I hid them under my tongue. She leaned close, scanning my mouth like a prison warden. Her breath smelled like metal, like blood or rust. Open wider, she ordered. I lifted my tongue a little more, and right then, a bead of dissolved pill liquid dripped onto my taste buds. It burned like acid. She saw it. Her face changed. Violently. You think I'm stupid? She hissed. Everything exploded. She grabbed my hair and smashed my face against the table. My ears rang. Blood filled my mouth. She was laughing. Not loud, not hysterical, but soft, calm, like a person humming along to a song. You almost made me look like a bad mother, baby. Do you know how that makes mommy feel? I didn't answer. Smash! She slammed my head again. This time I ran. I sprinted toward the front door, tripping over the carpet, surviving only by adrenaline. She wasn't screaming. She was chasing silently, which somehow made it worse. I grabbed the knob. It turned. The deadbolt was gone. I didn't think. I just ran. Onto the street, into daylight, into air that didn't smell like her. Neighbors gasped. Cars braked. Someone yelled, "Call 911." I collapsed. When I woke up, IV tubes filled my arms. A doctor looked down at me. You were severely dehydrated, malnourished. You're safe now, kid. For the first time in years, I felt hope. Then the door opened. She walked in. She was smiling, holding paperwork. My son is ready to come home, she told the doctor. I screamed, begged, tried to pull the IV out. Security rushed in, the doctor argued. Papers flew between professionals. In the chaos, she leaned down close to me and whispered, You think they'll save you, sweetie? Every monster has a mask. The government separated us. I was placed temporarily with a foster family, the Harrisons. They were normal people. Loud TV, messy dinners, arguments about bills. Messy but safe. I wasn't used to safety. I started seeing a therapist named Dr. Keller. He listened, not like adults who pretend. He listened for real. He asked tough things. Jalen, do you think your mother loved you? I thought about that question for weeks. Then one day, police cars tore down the Harrison street. I watched from the window as they stormed my childhood house, the house where she still lived. She wasn't there. She disappeared. Everyone told me, she'll turn up. People like that can't stay hidden. But she didn't turn up. I turned 19. I worked in a grocery store. I tried to be normal. I was getting better. Eventually, I moved into my own apartment. Cheap, small, but mine. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was actually living instead of surviving. Until that night, the night I smelled rust again. It was 2:17 a.m. I woke up thirsty and walked into the kitchen. The smell hit me instantly, metallic, sharp, distinct. My knees almost gave out. No, and it can't be. The living room was dark, but not empty. She stepped into view, not smiling, not angry, just staring. Hi, sweetheart, she said. Mommy's home. My heart stopped. How did you find me? She shrugged. A mother always knows where her child is. I grabbed a knife off the counter. My hands were shaking so bad it didn't even look like a weapon. Don't come near me, she laughed, low, disappointed. After all I sacrificed for you, this is how you treat me? Sacrificed? I yelled. You drugged me. You killed Dad. Something in her face flickered. She wasn't switching personalities anymore. There was no sweet voice, no baby talk, just rage in raw form. So what if I did? You were mine. You were the only person who saw me. No one cared about me but you. She lunged. Instinct took over. I stabbed her. The knife sank into her stomach. She looked down at the blade, saw then back at me, and smiled. That's my boy. She pulled the blade deeper herself, feeding off the pain, eyes burning with madness. I knew you were strong like me, she whispered. She collapsed. Blood pooled across the kitchen tiles. She reached a trembling hand toward me. Stay with me, just stay with me. I backed away, sobbing until my body hit the counter. She was still smiling when she stopped breathing. Cops came. Paramedics came. Statements were taken. Nobody blamed me. They called it self-defense. But trauma doesn't care about legal paperwork. When they zipped her into the black body bag, her face was still twisted in that same smile, like she had won. And the worst part? Sometimes I look into the mirror, and I see her eyes in mine. Sometimes I smile without meaning to, the same way she did. Sometimes I wonder, did I escape my mother, or did my mother become me? I never really understood how people say, home is where the heart is. If that's true, then I don't know where my heart is anymore, because it sure as hell isn't inside the 2-floor house on Brookhaven Street, Wisconsin, where I live with my mom. Her name is Lydia, and if you met her for 5 minutes, you'd swear she's the kindest, most perfect mother on planet Earth. People at church love her. The neighbors admire her. Cashiers adore her. Your mom is such a sweet woman, they always say. Yeah, they have no idea. It wasn't always like this. Before Dad died in that car crash 3 years ago, Mom was ordinary. Strict, but normal. She worked overtime, paid bills, argued about chores. Regular American mom things. But after the funeral, something cracked inside her. Not fast, slowly. Like a glass window developing thin lines before the whole thing finally shatters. I was 15 then. 17 now. And the cracks have turned into broken glass. Tonight was proof. It started around 6:30 p.m. Mom was in the kitchen slamming pots and pans way harder than necessary. The air smelled like burnt gravy and something acidic, almost metallic. Sit at the table, Rowan, she said. Her voice didn't match her face. She was smiling, but the muscles around her eyes were stiff, frozen. I sat. She didn't speak for a minute, just stared at me. Then suddenly, do you think I'm a good mother? The question came out sharp, like she had been waiting hours to say it. My throat clenched. I forced a nod. Yeah, Mom, of course. She leaned in. Her eyes didn't blink. You're lying, I swallowed. No, I'm not. Her hand slammed the table hard enough that the salt shaker jumped. Don't lie to me, Rowan. I'm doing everything for you, everything. I shrank into my seat. Arguments with her weren't normal arguments. You could never predict which version of Mom you'd get. Then, as if flipping a switch, she smiled again. Dinner's almost ready, sweetie. She kissed my forehead and went back to the stove. I hate that part the most. The switch. She can go from love to rage to love again in seconds, like she's rehearsing multiple personalities in front of a mirror. I stared at her back. She whispered to herself while stirring the pot. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Nothing's wrong. He loves you. You're enough. That's when I noticed her phone on the counter. Screen lit up. A text message preview. Are you still keeping the boy under control? I felt cold. Was she talking about me? Before I could look closer, Mom called out, "Set the table and don't snoop around my stuff." Like she knew. There was a knock at the front door. Mom froze. Her eyes widened like she'd been waiting for it all night. Oh, he's early. She wiped her hands fast on a towel. Rowan, sit still. Look normal. Who's coming? I asked. She didn't answer. She just rushed to the door and opened it. A man walked in. Tall, long brown coat, salt and pepper beard, weirdly still expression. He smiled at my mom first, but not a warm smile. More like a signal. Then he looked at me. So this is the boy, he said. Boy? Not my name, not your son, just the boy. Rowan, Mom scolded me. Say hello to Mr. Harrison. I didn't move, didn't speak. The man stepped closer, teeth clenched behind his grin. We are going to take good care of you. My stomach dropped. We? Who the hell is we? Mom stepped behind me, placing both her hands on my shoulders, squeezing too tightly. Rowan is safe now, she said. Her voice was shaking, from excitement, not fear. Mr. Harrison stared at me without blinking. Mom whispered into my ear, be polite. Don't embarrass me. Her nails dug into my skin until it hurt. Everything inside me screamed run, but my legs were frozen. Mom served dinner. Mr. Harrison sat in Dad's chair. I watched Mom's face the whole time. She was glowing like she was waiting for this night her whole life. Mr. Harrison ate slowly, eyes never leaving me. So, he said, you're almost a man now, huh? I nodded mechanically. He leaned forward. Men need discipline, structure, guidance. Mom exhaled deeply like those words made her feel alive. My voice cracked when I spoke. I don't even know you. Mom's hand smashed across my cheek faster than lightning. The slap echoed through the kitchen. My ears rang. Don't talk back, she screamed. Mr. Harrison didn't react. He just kept eating, calm as stone. Mom dropped to her knees and grabbed my face with both hands. I love you so much, she cried. I'm doing this for you. You'll understand later. You'll thank me. Her mascara was melting down her cheeks. And then she hugged me. Too tight. Too tight. I could barely breathe. Mom, I can't breathe. She didn't loosen. She squeezed harder. Mr. Harrison watched with a satisfied smile. That night I didn't sleep. I kept replaying her words, the text message, the man calling me the boy. Every muscle in my body was tense. Lights off. House silent. Then the floorboards creaked outside my door. Mom. I recognized her slow, rhythmic footsteps. I closed my eyes and pretended to sleep. She opened the door, came inside, sat on the edge of my bed. Her fingers stroked my hair slowly. You're all I have, she whispered. And I won't let the world take you away from me. Never. Never. Something glimmered in her other hand. A pair of scissors. She wasn't cutting anything. She was just holding them, watching me. I kept my breathing slow, pretending to sleep. After maybe a minute, she stood up and left the room. My heart hammered like it was trying to escape my chest. I knew one thing then. If I stay here, she's going to kill me.